Yo, what's up, everyone? Big up and thank you to Mo for having me on. My name's Josiah, and unfortunately, an Arsenal fan, obviously. Obviously, this would have been first time on this, and it would have been the one game where it would make sense to scream and yell, but I'm going to try not to, tempting as it is. Obviously, Arsenal have had a terrible start to the season. We know that even despite West Brom, I don't think any of us were under any illusions about what to expect today. With Brentford, they were a team riding the wave and played excellently, but we looked tired and without a game plan. Chelsea, champions of Europe, obviously a very different opposition, but same thing, same issues. Coming into West Brom, it wasn't a result that was great or the 6 goals, even against the championship side, which heavily rotated. But it was that our players actually looked fresh and it looked like we had a game plan. Um, as a team, I think you have to want to end a poor start to the season. Furthermore, as a professional, as a brother, as a man, you want to test yourself against the best. City have been the best team in England for the past 5 years. We don't necessarily expect to win, but we do expect a performance. The starting 11 was wrong in my opinion. Pepe was obviously out ill apparently. Arteta experimented. When you get it right, you look like a genius. When you get it wrong, you look like a fool. He did what people wanted against Chelsea and matched up in 3-4-3. But we had 2 right backs, 2 left backs, 1 centre back. We have 4 right backs at the club, none of whom are first choice. Chambers, okay, he's played centre back before. Cedric struggled to oust the now of form Bellerin. Would have preferred Maitland Niles, who has worked under Arteta in a system like that 2-0 FA Cup win against City. Tierney, left wing back, no problem, but Kolasinac at centre back would have made sense the other way around. Kolasinac is a bit of guy who's not really challenged for a first team spot in years and should have been gone out of the team already. But apparently starting at centre back for us against City. Lukonga was dropped. I didn't really understand that. Yes, he's young, but he's been one of our best and most consistent players this season. El Neni, I would have preferred to Xhaka in a game where you're not going to have the ball. Somebody who can run around, similar to Martinelli, having energy on defense and an outlet. But 2 goalkeepers on the bench as well. No Balogun either, so hoping he's okay. We started decently, but like with Chelsea, it didn't really last very long. Tierney and Smith Rowe should have done better on the first goal. Both of them were a bit off. They should have been tighter. The cross was free. 9 players in the box. I think it was Chambers misjudged the header. Gundogan free header straight at Leno, should have saved it. Afterwards, Arsenal regrouped and were in formation, but there was no press, so you're giving City time. They didn't have much space though, which was good until what City did. They moved the ball back, let Arsenal stretch out, shifted it around. Now Arsenal's out of position. Nobody knows who's marking who. You get to the set piece where you're organised, then you pass it short a few times. Players don't know who they're marking. Cross comes in. It's not great. Nobody was within 10 yards of the guy who crossed it. Goes past 3-4 players. Cheap tapping. 15 minutes in, we changed the strategy and everyone was up at their box pressing, which leaves you stretched and open. Edison, unfortunately, was having time on the ball. At one point, he was 10 yards out of the box and still had time to pick a pass over the top, where we know City have scored like that before. The pressing again was inconsistent. At one point, we had Tierney and Cedric up against their box, but then we were exposed, especially when Xhaka pushed up and you've got no covering behind, and Xhaka's not exactly mobile. And then when you've got a back five, when the two aren't pressing, it leaves a lot of room, obviously. Edison did what he does. Obviously, he made a mistake. Smith Rowe on another day that goes in. But he was playing how Edison plays. Arsenal, I don't know how they play, unfortunately. Contrast it to City, who did exactly what we know they do, despite players missing from the starting lineup. And then you get a situation where I think it was Arsenal, City had a corner, Arsenal recovered it, City sprint back to the halfway line. And then as soon as Arsenal get close to the halfway line, they sprint out and they're there because that's their game plan. Xhaka. We know who Xhaka is. People love him because he's so British. He shouts a lot. He dives into tackles. But we know what he is. He's got terrible discipline. Obviously, he had the fan incident when he was captain. For me, should have left the club a long time ago. He's had good moments, but very mediocre. Instead, we give him the armband again. We give him a new long-term contract. Meanwhile, we're selling Willock. Summer for the biggest clear-out we've needed in decades. Doesn't happen. Summed up by Xhaka. I think that's his 4th red card for us. 3rd game into the league. No points, no goals. Champions. Jumps in 2-footed, studs up. It's an obvious red. But Xhaka didn't give himself a contract. He doesn't put himself in the lineup. He doesn't give himself the armband. That's Arteta and the higher-ups and the owner. And we can talk about the board as much as we want, and we can talk about injury and illness. But Arteta's handling of Xhaka is an indicator of where he is as a manager. Third goal, Grealish is running at us, nobody tackles. We wait, and then three guys dive in at once. It's a free pass. I think it was Jesus that scored. He had the tap in. Kolasinac is in the centre of the pitch, shouldn't be nowhere near it, but he's playing centre back, and it's a free tapping because he has no spatial awareness. Oh, and that's the first half. The fourth goal, a little bit of pressure from Alba and Odegaard, obviously after the red card, but no pressing. It's an easy workaround. Ball gets shifted. Goal. I don't think it's fair to necessarily have a go at players for the second half, but especially after Xhaka. But I think we saw everything we needed to in the first half. Second half, it was a training exercise for City. They could run or pass or cross. It didn't really matter. Lacazette came on. He did okay, but he was just outside the box as a starting position. Smith Rowe tried really hard. I think he created a chance for Lacazette at the end, nearly at the end. It was something like 90% possession in the second half. I think it was like 18 overall, which is like our lowest ever by a long shot. Sterling should have had more. He had a free header. He had a one-on-one. He had a ball over the top where he just needed the touch. He could have had 3 or 4 after coming on. Fifth goal was the same thing. Players moved around. The ball comes in without pressure. I think Holding lost his man. Chambers lost his man. Free header. It could have been 10 today. I'm not Arteta out, but I think that a decently run club with any ambition, even of a top half finish, and the money that's been spent on this squad, his position would be in question. Chelsea and City are obviously tough assignments, but again, it wasn't necessarily the result, it's the performance. Brentford were excellent, credit to them, but a serious club wouldn't play against them the way we did. And I get it, we're missing Partey, White, Pepe, Laka just come back, but with building a big team is about building squad depth, as City have shown. You know we're in a pandemic and we didn't prepare appropriately. Pep changes his lineup all the time, but the team still plays the same way. Our team last year was terrible. We spent over 100 million. I think it was the most of any club. Most of it went on White, who came in, but we had other areas where we needed it more. It doesn't help that the fact that he came in for a position where we have Saliba. We were told he wasn't ready. But even if Saliba is your third choice, do you think we could have used him today? You know, in a season when your best centre-back starts injured and you're in a pandemic. Instead, we have Kolasinac. Arteta, Edu, Vinay, they're all responsible. Nketiah is still here. Xhaka is still here. Willie and Louise didn't work. All the money that we've spent is just one summer we haven't spent previously, which is why we're so far behind. Nothing will change until the owners go. They don't care, they don't invest, they don't like football, they have no interest. It's a long international break coming up. Transfer window, I don't have any expectations. Even if you look at the way we've done our business, Odegaard, who I love to bits, we signed him months later than we should have been. Worst start to our season, 3 losses. I think it's 9 goals conceded, no goals scored. I don't think we'll be relegated, but we're trying really hard. Our experienced players have been our worst. We're over-reliant on young players. Management, executives, all lacking experience. Even with injury and illness, if we look at Arteta, the decisions he's made, Louise, Willian, Ozil, Guendouzi, Saliba, all terrible. And I think it's not an overreaction to judge necessarily off of 3 games, but his entire tenure that he's been manager here. And he's getting the decisions wrong, unfortunately. I remember being in school, living as an Arsenal fan, just being bullied throughout school. Because that was the banter era. That was the so-called banter era when we were getting in the top 4 every year. Champions League, making it through to the knockouts. Losing to teams like Bayern Munich and Barca. The odd FA Cup. That was the banter era. So what exactly is this? Yeah, I'll leave it there. Try and enjoy the rest of your day.